Here are your Court News Ohio top stories in 5 minutes.
In a 4-3 decision, the Ohio Supreme Court ruled on December 20th that the state controlling board did not violate the law when it approved the Ohio Department of Medicaid's request for increased appropriation authority to accept federal Medicaid funds. The state budget bill passed by the General Assembly in 2013 included a provision prohibiting Ohio's Medicaid program from expanding to cover more people under the federal health care law. Governor John Kasich vetoed the provision, and the General Assembly did not override the veto. In the court's lead opinion, Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor stated that after the veto, the law no longer expressly prohibited the state from choosing to provide the optional Medicaid coverage. Given that authority, she wrote, the controlling board was permitted to approve the expansion money.
More college freshmen who intend to become lawyers may be able to reach their goal 1 year sooner if proposed rule amendments announced by the Ohio Supreme Court on December 23rd are adopted. The Supreme Court is considering allowing applicants to apply for the bar exam after graduating from a 6-year joint bachelor's in law degree program instead of the traditional 7-year program. Under the amendments, applicants in Ohio would only be required to obtain a bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university before admission to the practice of law, rather than before admission to law school. As it stands now, bar exam applicants who graduate from a 3+3 program must seek a waiver of the rule in order to sit for the exam, according to the director of the Office of Bar Admissions at the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court notified Ohio college presidents about the proposal in a letter and noted that the decision whether to offer a 3+3 program lies with Ohio's law schools and colleges. The public can submit comments on the proposed amendments through January 22, 2014.
Case 10-576.
While many of the 7 Ohio Supreme Court justices are parents and grandparents, Justices Judith Ann Lanzinger and Terrence O'Donnell are among a small group of Ohio jurists whose adult children are also judges.
When you think about it, we have over 720 judges in the state of Ohio, and only 7 serve on the Supreme Court of Ohio. So remarkably, with Justice Lanzinger's son Josh and my daughter Colleen, there are 2 of the 7 who have children that are on the service of the judiciary in Ohio, which is somewhat remarkable.
Colleen O'Donnell was appointed in May to the Franklin County Common Pleas Court bench. Josh Lanzinger was appointed in September and then elected in November to the Toledo Municipal Court.
And it's nice to be able to have someone in the immediate family that I can look up to and to get advice from, or for any questions that I might have on the municipal court. My mother has been there on the municipal court, and she can relate to some of the issues that I have on the bench.
Justice Lanzinger was not surprised when her son decided to follow in her footsteps.
It seemed that that was always his interest, and I didn't want to discourage him or encourage him, because it's really an individual decision. But I can tell you he's just the right person with the judicial temperament, because when he was small, he was the type of kid who was always the peacemaker. My
exposure to law started very early, and I do specifically remember as a small child going to law school with her, and I also remember when she started practicing law, actually on sometimes Saturdays, going into the office with her.
Colleen O'Donnell also remembers watching her father at work on the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court bench.
Having ended up in the same field my dad did and in the very same position, he was influential, I think, in a way that gave me exposure and a comfort level with the legal system and the judicial system and how judges operate.
O'Donnell says her father has set an example that she hopes to follow.
His demeanor and his approach is, there really aren't shortcuts. Just sort of put your head down and do the work. And, you know, since kindergarten through today, it's hard to argue with that advice, and that kind of attitude will never fail you.
For the Lanzingers and the O'Donnells, legal careers seem to run in the family. Justice Lanzinger's daughter and son-in-law and Justice O'Donnell's 2 sons are also lawyers. Both parents are proud to see their children choose a path to public service.
That's a look at Court News Ohio's top stories. Visit courtnewsohio.gov for the latest headlines on Ohio's courts.